Now let's hunt for the URL redirection through the path fragment. So first of all, you'll simply open this handy dandy link. So it contains all the bug bounty cheat sheet. So simply go on this link, and here is the open redirect and the possible open redirect parameters. So you could see we have already discussed about this, that is the terms. If it has any terms like URL, you can inject your target website over there. But for this lecture, we'll see the open redirect through the path fragment. So we'll just target this website over here. So let's see if this works or not. So first of all, we have the link over here, that is the Google, and basically we'll have the redirection to google.com if this work or if any of these payload work. So let's try one by one. So let me just copy this, go over here. So what you need to do is at the last of the link you need to simply paste, because this is your new payload. So if I just hit enter and it is saying 404, that means nothing found. So if this is the case, then there is no open URL redirection in this parameter or in this field or with this payload. So this payload is not working for this link because we simply get 404. So 4 and 404 error is not found error, that means it is not working. So let's try for another payload again. So you can grab this payload from the resource section. So at the last of the link you need to simply paste this one, and if I hit enter again, it should show 404 error, that is again not found. Let's see or try this one. Let's go over here and let me just paste and let me just hit enter. Then it is saying 403 forbidden. This means you are not allowed to just access this information, so it is also not valid. Let's go over here and let's paste it the next payload, and it is also saying it is not valid. Let's go to the next payload. This is the another payload, so let me just copy this and we go to here. Let me paste it over here, and if I just hit enter, then it has been redirected to google.com. So you could see this payload is working for this link. So you can simply copy this, that is a payload. You can simply fire this payload at the end. So it has already fired. So if I just hit enter or if I just replace this again, then you could see this is our new link. And if I just hit enter, or you can simply copy this and give it to something that is new browser or basically new user. You can also make use of some online services like Bitly, which will just encode your URL or basically shorten the URL and give the URL that is not suspicious enough. So you can simply paste it down here, your link, and let me just copy this, the new link. So okay, let me just copy this link, and it should give me, okay, where was that? It was here. Copy this, paste it over here, and I'll just say shorten, copy this link and give it to the new user, and this is my new private user. Let me just copy this, then it will be redirect. Let me wait for a moment. It should give you open redirection, but it is not working because it has not encoded properly. So it should be like this. So if I just give this URL to any browser, then it will just redirect to google.com, and you could see it is not the original website. Instead it is the new website, or there is a URL redirection. It is not going in the original content, instead it is going in the google.com. So instead of google.com you can have here the malicious website. If you have any malicious website, user will be redirected to that website, or it can be also the clone website, and you can simply grab the content or harvest the credentials of the user with this URL redirection. So you can also see this link over here which has bunch of open redirect. So all you need to do is simply paste that payload which is just given over here at the last of your link, and let's see if this works or not. If you get any error or basically 403 forbidden information, that means it is not valid or you cannot access the information, or URL redirection is not valid to this link with this payload. And if you get some information like 404, that means page is not found. But if you see some redirection, that means this payload is working. So you can just try some of these payload. These are good payload example for the open redirect with the path fragment. So now let's see for another thing. So let me just go over here and let me search for something like Twitter. So I'll say Twitter, and this is your Twitter, login to Twitter. So if I just copy this link, so if I say copy link location, open my Sublime Text, and if I just paste here, then you could see the link starts with google.com, but this is the actual link for the twitter.com. So if I just copy all of this, so now if I just copy all of this, so let me just copy this and go over here for the new user, which is basically this private window. If I just paste it down here, then you could see this link always starts with the google.com. So it has a google.com, so that user won't get suspicious. It will just see that this is the google.com. If I just hit enter, it will be redirect to twitter.com. So you can see that you can also make use of these some links to just make user to have a URL redirection. So instead of Twitter, you can just inject your malicious website over here. So this is the way to see for the path fragment. You can simply put some of this payload. So you can just download this from the resource section, or you can simply go on the Google and search for the cheat sheet, which is simply bug bounty cheat sheet, and you can simply search for the open redirect. And now we can also make use of an intruder to just give multiple payloads. So you can simply try this payload. You can simply just copy this and just enter at the end of this payload. But if you have multiple payload, so if you have list of a payload, so if you have use burp suit in the case of XSS attack, there was a functionality called as an intruder. So intruder is normally the way to just inject multiple payload lists to the URL, or basically to see if that works or not, if the payload works or not. So you can see we have the only here the 9 or 10 payload. This is okay if you want to just inject one by one, but if you have a bunch of a payload like here, so I have, okay, not here, okay, it is over here. So you could see we have a 462 line of lines, or basically it has those payloads over here. So it is impossible for you now to just copy one by one and just insert at the end of this link. So instead we can just make use of a burp suit to do that. So we'll also stick to this website to test for this website. So now first of all, make sure your proxy is on. So I'll just go to the options, I'll go to the settings and make sure this manual proxy configuration is ticked. And after that, this is the website that we want to attack. Let's see in the burp suit. So burp suit is opened over here. So I'll just pass something at the end. So I'll say we are checking for X. Okay, this is open. So I'll say at the end, I'll just pass open. It can be any parameter at the end because we want to inject. So if you just remember, we want to inject this payload at the end of this basically URL. So as we did with this URL, we want to inject all of this payload at the end in this open field. That means you can also give anything over here. You can also simply give test, you can also give your name, and you can simply inject this payload in this search in field. So I'll just stick with this open because this is open URL redirection. So if I just go over here, make sure intercept is on and go back to, let me close this one. So we are now just press enter to this field and go to the burp suit. So burp suit is getting this get request. So in the get request there is a open. So first of all you need to do is send this to the intruder, and in the intruder, in the position tab, you will just get this open. So make sure you just get all of these open selected, and first of all you should simply clear all the field. So let me clear, and again select this open and simply press add over here. So we are just adding all the payload in this open field now. So let's go to the payload. So all you need to do is simply get all of this payload from the resource section. It will have this open redirect payload.txt, or simply you can also, so let me make my intercept off now. So you can simply search for open URL redirection payloads, and you will get some link over here, open redirect payloads, and this is the payload text. So simply open that and you will just get this line of payloads over here. So all you need to do is simply create new notepad or the text file, and you'll simply copy all of this, which is the 460 some line of codes or payload. So copy all of those, go back to this text file and just make sure you paste it over here. So this is your all payload, and you simply save this to the folder where you can access in the Burp Suite, and I have already stored as open.txt. You can also give any name to this and you can simply save, and I'm not going to do that because I have already saved this same file, and you could see it is in my desktop with the name of open. So this is the same file. So now we'll just go to the Burp Suite, and we have already gone into this intruder. You can see the position, we have just added the position to this request, or basically to this URL, get URL. So now it's time to load those payload. So payload name is open, so let me just open this payload, and you could see it has 462 payload count. So all you need to do is simply see here the payload count and simply start the attack. It will take some time, give it a time to just attack for all of these payload length, and wait for it until it just process all of these payload. So it has successfully executed all the payload. So you could see it took a minute for me. So it has successfully first launched this simple payload, which is empty payload, and yet get 404 status code. That means nothing was found. So if you just remember at the beginning of the lecture, I have told that if you get any of the status code that begins with 3, that can be 3, and any code after that, it can be 3XX. So XX stand for any code. So you could see we have a bunch of those codes. So you could see here 301. So any after 3 is valid. So we'll just see for this one. So if I just see the response to the browser, let me just click this one, copy this, and let's see if this works or not. So I'll just go to the Mozilla and let me just paste and go, and it is not giving a redirection. Let me see if this is turned off or not. So it is manual proxy. So okay, it is not working. Let's see why. So it is not working. Let's see for another domain. So let's see for this one. Should be starting with 301. So let's see for this one. So okay, this is forbidden, this is not allowed. So you could see that we can just test this of the field. So you can simply go with this one. So response in the browser, copy this one. So you can simply paste it right here. So after you just paste, you will see that it has injected some of the payload right here. And we saw in the previous lecture that it is only valid, that is this payload, this one payload, which was only valid to this case. So let's see if that payload was here or not. So it should be somewhere over here. So you can simply add your manual payload if you want. I'm just searching for the simple this one. So it is encoded over here. So let's see, let's check it out some real quick. So let's see for this one. So let's see. Also, we have already got this and it was not valid. So let's see for this one. So send show response to the browser. So I'll just go again over here. Let me paste it over here. So if I just paste it down, it is giving us alert of local domain.pw, because this was the payload that was going to just give some local domain. So local domain.pw has this alert. That means basically we have a URL redirection. So instead of going to this original website, it has just redirect to this local domain.pw. So instead of local this domain or local domain.pw, you can simply inject something like, okay, so I'll say it can be Google. So you can just change here, or basically you can change in the payload. So instead of local domain, you can simply go to the google.com and it will have the URL redirection to this link. So you can see we have an alert saying local domain.pw. So that means you have a URL redirection that you make use of whole of this payload to see if there is URL redirection or not in this list. So instead of this, you can simply, let me just add one real quick over here. So I'll just say google.com. So if I just add this, and now it has 463. So let me just start a tag again. So it will just take a time again. So I'll just pause for a moment until it finishes, and I'll just come in a moment. Now it has successfully finished all of these payloads. So it has injected all of this payload, but we wanted this payload. So you could see it has a status code of 301. If it was of 404, that means we wouldn't see this payload even, but it has response of 301. That means it has a URL redirection. Although its length is small, we'll just see the response in the browser, and we always see response over here. So I'll just quickly paste and go the same link. So let me just copy it one more time, the same link. So it should be right here. So I'll just say show response in the browser, open the link and paste and go. So when I just paste and refresh the page, then you could see it has redirect to google.com. That means it was valid, and we have already shared with this custom payload that we just injected over here, which was this payload, and just making over here. So you can also paste with the manually over here, and you could see the same redirection. Instead of Google, it can be your malicious website. So you can also make use of an intruder to load multiple payload. You can also see that we have a multiple payload over here. You could just see which of these works. So if you just get any request that starts with 300, and basically it is valid. So if you see 404, that means it is not valid. So you should not just simply copy this, and basically it is useless to see the response in the browser because it has 404. That means it is not valid. This status code is not found anything, or basically it is not having the URL redirection. So we just search for the code that is 301, and we'll just see response in the browser. Some of these will work and some of those won't, but it is basically what happens in the bug hunting. So this is the way to work with the open redirect through the path fragment. So in the next lecture, we'll just see for the another technique, that is just passing or just fetching these URL parameters and just customly just passing the target URL to those parameters. So that will be covered in the next lecture, but in this lecture we just simply saw how we can just make use of path fragment to inject the payload through the intruder and through manually and see the open URL redirection. So you can just simply copy or basically download this cheat sheet from the resource section, and just you can start applying those to the target websites or the live website. So see you in the next one.